Welcome to our presentation. My name is Damon Anderson.
Jack Wallner.
Sudharsan Prabhu.
And Krishna Pavada.
We're going to be doing the motif of eyes for Pride and Prejudice, Volume 2.
Eyes are a huge part of one's personality, as you can see through many of our classmates' eyes.
So we will be showing some short clips, and for our actors we have Damon as Charlotte, Krishna as Darcy, Sudharsan as Elizabeth, and Jack as Collins.
Our dominant effect for this project was Austen uses eyes to express characters' proclivities, which reveals the truth and often concealed thoughts of characters.
For our first quote, we have, "His eyes had been soon and repeatedly turned towards them with a look of curiosity."
For our second quote, we have Mr. Darcy, who is leaning against the mantelpiece with his eyes fixed on her face, seemed to catch her words with no less resentment than surprise. Now we'll be analyzing the last two clips of Mr. Darcy and focusing on his eyes and how Austen uses his eyes to characterize Mr. Darcy and his relations with other characters.
So as we can see in Pride and Prejudice, Darcy is unable to characterize his emotions, so that means that he has to use his eyes to convey much of his feelings. And then what we can see later is that Darcy secretly admires Elizabeth from afar and takes great interest in her. And the way we can see this as the reader is that the eyes really reveal how he's really focused on Elizabeth throughout the entire storyline, because throughout the scene he's staring at Elizabeth from across the room, and his staring across the room really conveys that he's really into Elizabeth, and we didn't know that before. And Austen shows that Darcy's actions of focusing only on Elizabeth through his eyes shows that his main image and represents his focus during these parties, and how he's an unsocial person, but really it shows his true intentions.
Our third quote is, Elizabeth awoke the next morning to the same thoughts and meditations which at length closed her eyes.
As you can see by Sudharsan's wonderful acting in the previous slides, Elizabeth's eyes show how she thinks about many of the troubles, although she does not express them. Some of these troubles might be marriage, Jane and Bingley together, Wickham, her mother, Mr. Darcy, love, and Charlotte, and especially Charlotte's relationship with Mr. Collins. Austen uses Elizabeth's eyes as a device, as seen by the last quote, to characterize Elizabeth without using any speech or even free indirect speech.
Our fourth quote is, Poor Charlotte, it was melancholy to leave her in such societies, but she had chosen it with her eyes open.
So in this section of the novel, Austen really portrays how Charlotte made the decision to marry Mr. Collins while she really knew that Mr. Collins didn't have the best personality, but she married for pragmatic reasons. And that really shows Austen's use of eyes as a tool of perception, as their eyes are used to discern situations and make the best of them. And Elizabeth chooses to go for Mr. Collins solely because of his wealth, and this is really a key because it reveals how eyes reveal a part of a person's personality. Elizabeth would have considered Mr. Collins not good for her because of his personality, because her eyes discern him in a different way. But all Charlotte sees in Mr. Collins is a money bag, so of course she would want to go for him.
Right, so we recognize that recognize the eyes of the narrator, and the eyes of the narrator are the most significant in the novel because we see the whole story through the narrator's eyes.
and this kind of brings a bias to the reader, and he sees the whole story through the eyes of the narrator, who has a bias towards, for example, Elizabeth. So the reader also is inclined to go towards Elizabeth as well.
As you can see throughout our video, the motif of bias is very important to Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Thanks so much for watching.